Hi, my name is Sunny Glottmann. I am a Policy and Programs Manager here at the AFL-CIO Tech Institute. We are a center of gravity for the labor movement, studying tech policy, studying tech, and its impact on workers. So before we start this, let's first ask some questions. How do you use AI at work?
I don't.
Really? Not at all.
I mean, I'll read like a Google summary, but I'll always fact check it.
All right, well, we're going to revisit that question at the end of this presentation.
Maybe I use it and I'm not aware.
Wow, spoilers. So today we're going to be talking about what is AI, how does AI work, what data might your employer be collecting about you, and how is it being used? And then we're going to think about how is AI being incorporated in work settings and what you can do about that to make sure that your rights are being protected on the job. Tech Institute was created under President Schuler's leadership to help address the harms that emerging technologies pose to workers. The labor movement sees technology as union work, and we put the resources behind it by bringing subject matter expertise in-house. That's us. We've created a center of gravity for the labor movement and its partners around the future of work, new tech, and AI. We've built a hub of expertise on policy, research, and worker voice strategies. Tech Institute, we work with unions, members, universities, public officials, funders, and employers. We work to develop educational tools, policy analysis, and strategies to advance the needs and interests of working people in our rapidly shifting tech economy. First slide. So let's start with the easiest question. What is artificial intelligence? I'm just going to say this from my own personal experience. You don't need to be an expert on AI. Every time I buy a coffee or pay a bill, I use my credit card. I don't know exactly how that money gets from my bank account to wherever I'm sending it, but what I do know is that if my card is fraudulently charged, my credit card company and my bank must take certain actions to remedy that. This is the same for AI. We don't know how the technical aspects work, and we don't have to, but as the labor movement, what we do know is that we need rules, and we need to make sure that we have the right rules in place so that our rights are protected. Back to my original question. At its most basic level, all AI is a system capable of performing tasks typically requiring a human to perform. So what does this all mean? Well, for one, when most people you ask them how they use AI, what's the first thing that comes to mind? ChatGPT, Claude, and any other LLM. But that's not all that there is to it. There are three types of AI: predictive, generative, and agentic. Here are some high-level distinctions about the different types of AI. Predictive AI models and analyzes historical data using machine learning algorithms to identify patterns and forecast outcomes. When you think of this, one great example is when you go into the grocery store. You might not see that paper tag anymore next to your box of cereal. Instead, it's a digital shelf label. And what that is it is a little tiny LCD that goes from the corporate headquarters of your retail grocer, allowing them to change prices on the dot for the cereal that you are purchasing. Another example of AI is generative AI. This is what creates entirely new content. This is the ChatGPT and the LLMs that more and more people are thinking of as AI. Just like when you think of a web search engine, you say you're Googling something, but there are many more web search engines than Google. Lastly, we have autonomous AI systems. These can independently function and execute actions using tools to achieve a goal. Think of a customer service chatbot. Think of how they process refunds without speaking to a human. If you hear in the newspapers or the press people talking about agents, that's all this is. But how does this all work? What is the source that enables these machines to make decisions about us that have everyday impact on our lives? That, my friend, is data. Data is the raw material that AI uses to influence its algorithms. It's the building blocks that train the AI systems. Without data, there's no AI. These parts, they all work together, and they make up the final product of AI systems you may experience in your workplace, including the AI-enabled robotic barista. As a former barista, this breaks my heart. It's the operation of the autonomous vehicle, and sometimes it's just the spell check integrated into your email. Next slide. So, let's talk about the typical algorithmic AI machine learning systems at work. On this slide, you can see some of the ways that AI is showing up in work settings. Many of these likely already exist in yours. What I want to talk about first is the ways in which AI might already be in your workplace that you don't necessarily know about. It's the behind the scenes applications. These are the worker monitoring platforms that can collect vast amounts of data, such as your internet activity, your browsing history, maybe even your electronic health records and financial activity. We're even seeing that some employers are using your social media activity to think and learn more about potential union organizing activity. That's right, we might have union busting AIs these days. These platforms also claim to measure productivity, emotional sentiment, and more. Cameras looking at your face telling you to smile more. Well, what does this look like for workers? Wearable devices like sensors and construction hats that check for concussion signs, but also track your location. Keyboard tapping monitoring systems that access computer cameras to know when you're at your desk doing your job. And these systems are constantly collecting worker data. So let's talk next about the types of data they're collecting. And as you can see, it's tremendous. It's your credit card data, it's your personal information, your social security number, things that you think about constantly and worry that they could be used fraudulently in consumer scams. Your workplace has them on you. Data is collected everywhere, and that's why workers need to care about what it's being used for. Currently, one way we're seeing data being used is in what they call bossware technology. Bossware technology feeds personal information from workers into automated decision-making systems to make decisions. These are hiring decisions, firing decisions, wage setting decisions, performance evaluation decisions. Everything that matters every day when you come home from the office, a robot might be making that decision instead of a human being. Workplace and personal data, it's also not siloed. What your personal data and workplace data to your employer and the data brokers who they buy and sell data from does not matter. Your data, workplace data, is being sold by your employers to big tech companies, financial service companies, and advertisers, all to sell you things. And at the same time, your personal data is being bought by your employer to inform their business decisions and management practices. Data-driven technologies have impacts on work in every sector and are often linked to harms for workers, including increased psychological stress, injury risk, scheduling, and burnout. Also, when you talk about, will AI take my job? Many of these concerns come from these data-driven technologies. These systems can impact compensation structures by deskilling work, depressing wages, and eroding job security. They have dramatic impact on job quality, including worker health and safety, professional discretion, worker autonomy, job satisfaction, discrimination, and the dignity of work. As you can see, AI isn't just the plot of the next Steven Spielberg sci-fi movie. It's already here and is in the tools we use every day. But we have to look past the hype, and we have to know it and see it for what it really is. It's a system built on our data and our collective expertise. It's our knowledge that trains these models, and it's important that we reap the benefits. When these systems are implemented without strong guardrails, they can be used to monitor our every move and devalue our hard-earned skills. Whether it's in a corporate office, a public agency, a hospital, or a school classroom, we have to ensure that that technology is used to support our work, not just to stretch a budget or a bottom line at the expense of our rights. The labor movement, we're not Luddites, we're not breaking woos. We are not anti-technology, we're pro-worker. We're advocating for a future where technology is a tool that empowers us to do our jobs better while keeping human judgment and accountability exactly where it belongs, at the heart of work.